In this worksheet, we will be taking a look mostly at number patterns, but we also take a look at number sentences, and we throw algebra in there as well, because it's all skills that are flowing together. You need to know how to work with these types of questions with all the skills across the board. Now, coming to the number patterns, first of all, you need to remember that with a number pattern, you need to add or subtract or multiply or divide continuously. That's where the pattern comes from. So you do the same operation from one term in the pattern to the next, to the next, to the next. So for you to know what it is that you need to, say for instance, add, you need to subtract backwards from any two terms next to each other, and then find another two terms that are also standing right next to each other, and also subtract. And if you get the same answer, you know what you need to add to get to the next term. The same will go, for instance, with multiply. You will divide backwards, or in order to know what to divide, you'll multiply backwards, or something to that effect. You need to know how to work with the backwards operations with any two terms standing next to each other, so that you can find what the forward going pattern or operation is. That is the important thing to do with those questions. You need to find what is that one operation that will take you from one term to the next to the next. Then we go to the next question, where we now have a geometric pattern, because they're giving you a sketch, some figures. However, what you can do is to take a look at those diagrams and just simply put them in numbers. So find, for instance, in this case, the number of circles in the first diagram, the second diagram, and the third diagram. And with those numbers, you can form a number pattern exactly like we did in question number 1. Finding out what is the constant term that is being added, subtracted, multiplied, or divided, so that you can take that rule to the next term and actually answer the question where they say, how many circles will there be in the following diagram? Then we come to question number 3. Now, with question number 3, you need to realize that there is a relationship between number patterns and the flowchart, or as they call it here, a spider diagram. Because what you will typically do with number patterns is you will replace those blocks in the middle with the rule. Whatever the rule is, that number that you add or subtract or multiply or divide, that is the rule. In a flowchart, that rule is just given to you in blocks or in separate blocks, as in this specific case. But you still have the numbers, and you will need to do something with those numbers to get an output. So you've got your input and you've got your output. And then coming to the second part of that question, they're asking you to now take those rules, because in the first part of the question there were two rules, first the one, then the other one. You now need to combine those rules to get the same outputs. So you need to look at the first part of the question and see, if I don't want two blocks, I don't want two separate rules, I want just one rule, what can I do to achieve the same outputs from the same inputs? And you just need to think about that process a little bit. How will you go from the input to the output with one rule, where in the previous question there you actually had two separate rules?